Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bulletproof Dental Practice Podcast. It's Peter and I today, and we're excited to talk to you about some things.
You
But
sound
before
like
I
a
get
robot
started,
right
Peter,
now for some
I'm
reason.
sorry.
You sound a little robotic today. Are you feeling okay?
This is not really me, Pete. This is
What do
the
you
AI
mean?
version
This
of
is
me.
the AI Craig?
Watch this, Pete. Screw you. I would never say that, bud. That's the robotic version.
Hey, well, Happy New Year. Let's start
Happy New Year to you too, bud.
Good.
Happy New Year.
What did you do? Where were you when the apple fell? Isn't that what it is? An apple or a peach? Depends where you are.
Geez, you know what? I don't remember. It's an anchor that falls, I think, in Fort Lauderdale. I don't quite know, but
Georgia,
I was in my
peach.
house.
Got it.
I had Josh and Norm there and my buddy Jeff. And we just chilled. We were meant to go on a friend of mine's boat. And at the 11th hour, he decided he wanted to use his boat. And because he never has used his boat in 5 years. And he decided that was a good night to use the boat. And then it was cold. And then he didn't use his boat. So we got shut out of the boat. But we did it at my house. It was really nice. It was actually a nice New Year. And where were you? Baker's Bay?
Yeah, I was in the Bahamas, and it was cold. I couldn't believe it. It was cold and windy. It was crazy. It was fun. Good stuff. Well, Bud, I think, I always get inspired. I know we're not going to talk about this, but I love a new year. It's a great time to reflect on what you did. I always talk about your inputs and your outputs, and it's a real good time to say, hey, either I want more of what I did or I want to really change course, right? And I think life gives us a kind of a whole new chapter to be like, okay, well, let's try this year. And so I think New Year's is probably, as I sat on the beach kind of New Year's Day, I was like, I think this is like my favorite holiday because it's very cleansing, and not everything went my way, but a lot of things did.
And what happened? Like some of your strawberry daiquiris weren't frozen enough for you, or I just want to. I want to make sure that the audience connects with your pain.
Yeah, my human pain.
The shrimp cocktail wasn't being fed to you.
No, but reality, it is a great time to reflect and audit and write down. And I lead a lot of goal stuff for my YPO. I'm the moderator, and I've taken kind of a science to it. And interestingly enough, Craig, I looked at my goals I have them written down from 2009. Every year I've written them down and look at it and audit it. And how did I do? How did I not do? And it's just so crazy. Like the what am I trying to say? You look back and you're like, why were these so small back then? Why were my aspirations so small? Or why was I worried about this? And it's a crazy audit of your life. And I just think New Year's is a really cool time to reset your clock, whatever that means for you.
So what were some of the goals like in 2009? What were you thinking then?
Oh, it was
like how to do more
go down to 4 days a week.
Got it.
In clinical dentistry, there were some clinical dentistry things. There was a lot of kid stuff. As we prepped for a family back then, it was get a second dental location, things like that.
I mean, those are big things, by the way. It's hard to look backwards in your life and think you should have been more aggressive.
No. I'm not saying that. I probably shouldn't have said it like I did. I'm not saying that but I'm saying is that I guess going back to it's remarkable how much you can accomplish in a 10-year frame. What we think we can do in 1 year, but 10 years it's crazy. And had I not, I guess my point is, had I not written that down, my memory is so poor about the things that my life just feels like it blurs together. Had I not written it down and audited it, and I wouldn't have been able to give it context. So super grateful for having written it down, and also super grateful of the progress and the things that happened. But it's not perfection by any means is where I'm going.
What's cool about when you write these goals down? It's a snapshot into how you were thinking. That's in 2009,
yes,
it shows you can remember, okay, this is what I was thinking. But just, to jump into our content, it's hard to think when you're in what I like to call the tyranny of the urgent. So most dentists don't actually fail because we're poor clinicians. You're a great clinician. I like to think of myself as one as well. And that's not the reason we failed. We failed because the urgent crowds out the important. So in 2009, your second location was a big, audacious goal because when the toilet broke in your first location or Sally the hygienist was upset, you were being tasked to the max. You were doing dentistry, 5 days a week, managing the business at 5:30 when you're mentally and physically exhausted, and you actually had no strategic time to work on the business. And that's why you just said, okay, well, I could allocate X amount of resources per week, and I might be able to, go down to a day. But it was really difficult to think that way because, when you got full schedule, staffing issues, and headaches, the daily fires that are giving you the fury creates zero leverage for you, right?
Yes.
And I think dentists have an I always say this too, and I was talking about one of my new docs that just joined with us. Dentists have two needs. They have a need to be productive financially, but we also feel really good about being busy. You and I always felt really good about being busy. I'm so busy. It's crazy. There's so much stuff going on. And it's not a good space to be in when you're really, really busy. Forget the productivity out. Take productivity as a variable out of the equation. People have a need to be busy, and they love being busy. They love saying they're booked up 8 weeks and they don't have time to pee and all this stuff.
But there is something, look, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, right? So I think that progress begets progress, or motion begets more motion. So like, I hear you that it's like this badge of honor, like, oh, look how busy I am. But I think what you're saying is, if you're redlining all the time, right? If you're just redlining your engine all the time, then there is no time for maintenance, repair, putting on turbo, strategic turbochargers, if you will, right? Because you're just running all the time. You don't get a time. Trying to stay with the metaphor of redlining. Is that kind of where you're going?
Yeah, I think so. And I look at dentists, and why do all these dentists default just to doing more ops, more operation mode? And it's because the dentistry itself rewards operation and not thinking. So when you choose a CE course, you don't typically, especially when people get out of school, they run to the how to place an implant, because immediately on day one post course, you can place that implant and you can start to monetize. You can start to generate revenue from that implant course. Whereas like if you look at like an occlusion course, like taking Coyce, Pankey, Dawson, those types of Spear, one of those, it doesn't really give you operational prowess on day one. It's theoretical. It helps you become a long-term better dentist, but dentistry is so highly compensated. Our job is so highly reimbursed that the 1 hour where you're trying to think about how to add an associate or cut down a day, you could just spend 3 hours and generate, 10, 15 grand.
Right.
So we are so highly compensated. Like if you're an AC guy and you're working for an AC company, the best you can do is, X amount of dollars. So you're forced to jump into the business ownership of it. You're forced to hire other techs, because as a single solo AC repairman working for an AC company, it's pretty static. In dentistry, it's alluring that you can do so well with your hands. So that's
kind of like the Naval thing, right? It talks about, what's something I'm gonna slander this completely, but it's basically like if you have a good hourly wage, let's just say you're hourly, whatever, it's almost like the heroin for you wanting to do more and more and more of that and never stepping back. Because like you said, the easy is I'll just go prep some more teeth and make some more dollars. Right. Right. Which solves for that immediate need, that immediate endorphin, that immediate, and it's not solving for the long-term trajectory, if you will.
Yeah, it's just we have a specific profession that is so alluring that you could just, and especially for those of us who have been doing it for a little while, or maybe we're on insurance plans, you could literally just at any given moment, if the month is bad or the bills are getting tight, you can just start working Saturdays and fix everything.
So why do you feel called? Why do you feel called to talk on this? Because I feel like you tiptoe around this a lot. So like why?
Yeah. So this is the thing that pains me most. Like if I had, and again, at Bulletproof, we have a very interesting selection or section of the dental profession, right? So I see this confluence of factors where doctors are opening up practices because they were told that's what to do. they open up the 4 operatory practice. They come to our network. They figure out, maybe I want to be a business owner. I want to have this thing own me. And, we always talk about, if your presence is required for growth and operations, you don't own the business, you own the job. And I see that pain of that doctor who has that 4 operatory practice that has no freedom, doesn't see his kids, just burning through all of his resources to keep this practice alive. And then what do? They go out and open up another 4 operatory practice, and now they have 2 locations and 2 jobs. And funny enough, one of our masterminders, who was with us for a year,
past, like a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, it was a very emotional thing. Like, hey, bud, what do you want? And it was in tears, where it's like, I want to be a dental business owner and I don't want to practice dentistry anymore. Like, kudos, good for you, bud. Let's roll. Let's build this thing. And he never really wanted to, or never really was able to execute on that. And I remember the conversation of like, look, what happens? What's the cost of never stepping back? What happens if you break your wrist? What happens if, something, catastrophic happens to you and you have 2 or 3 practices where you're the main producer in all of them? Funny enough, as the ironic portion of this story is, he did break his wrist. He just broke his wrist like 3 weeks ago.
How did you know this?
On Instagram. So I follow him. We still talk. He opened up a second location within the last 6 months, 4 operatories. So now he's working in 2 locations. He's become more important to his organization, and he actually broke his wrist or one of the major bones. I saw him in a cast. I'm like, what are you doing now? He's like, damn, like I should have listened and blah, blah, blah. So, and I think it could wind up being a blessing. I'm like, this is a wake up call for him. And a lot of doctors that I know, when something terrible happens like this, it forces them to stop the production and step back and grow the business itself. But, I see this and it just drives me crazy, because the associates are getting crapped on, because they are being told like, oh, you're just an associate, you don't own anything. And then I see the P&L and literally the balance sheet and the profit and loss of these doctors that own these practices. And I'm like, shit, man, it's almost better to be an associate. And no one's saying that. So I think when we look at the cost of never stepping back and staying trapped, if you love it, great. If you love doing clinical, but if something happens, I always believe it's your responsibility to kind of backfill your role.
I listen to Craig, other podcasts outside of dentistry, and I heard an interesting quote, so interesting to what you're just saying, that I wrote it down. It was on the My First Million, and I forget who they were interviewing. I like that pod. It's a little bit whatever. The quote is this: the more valuable you are to your company, the less valuable your company is.
Say that one more time, please.
The more valuable you are to your company, the less valuable your company is.
Yes.
And I wrote that down and I was like, that's a perfect thing for dentistry, because we talk about, and we framed it as the nucleus of everything, and your hair's on fire, nothing gets done without me. And it feels good, but it's not investable. It's not sustainable. It's not resistant to the broken wrist kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I think there's a timeline too there, Pete. So as the founder, like you think about Walt Disney. Walt Disney had this crazy idea to build the Magic Kingdom in the middle of the swamps of Florida. We needed a Walt Disney to start the ball rolling down the hill. But at a certain point, Walt Disney got out of it. Yes, it's named after Walt Disney, but Walt Disney obviously, passed away right after Magic Kingdom was opened. And we all know the story. It's doing great. So I think there's an important zone where you have to be the person, the visionary, the vision holder, and the person who's willing to break through the momentum. But what got you here won't get you there. You have to transition. So people confound the two, right? So I think it's really important. ADS would not be the same. SDG would not be the same without us. But at a certain point, you have to hand over the reins. And then the saying that you have is more applicable.
Do you feel what you're talking about? There's a lot of pain in dentistry associated with this, meaning this inner struggle of, I know I need X, but I keep doing Y.
Well, yeah, it's just too easy.
Yeah.
It's just too easy. This is the pill. The pill is the production that we have. That's why most dentists will never create this. That's why, the power of working in it is so strong and alluring because we're so highly compensated. And to go back to another Naval quote, just to add on that, he always says, if you need a degree to do it, you'll never get rich. So if you have high specific knowledge, you'll always trade time for money. Architects, doctors, attorneys, dentists, we have a very high level of training. Therefore, it's hard to replace us. So I think, and again, we're speaking to one, specific avatar of dental listener. And we actually believe, most of our listeners are striving to do that. If you're going to want a clinical podcast, you're going to tune into those types of things. The people that are listening to us struggle to, I want to create more.
I think, Craig, you hear a couple of narratives out there. Remember, it's like, get out of the chair and get off the treadmill. It's like these two narratives versus like I want to be the hardcore dentist. And I think what we say, because we talk about this a lot, is just setting you up for sustainability, whatever that looks like, right? Meaning picking your head up and planning down the road for what you want to do and creating a sustainable operation, versus letting it happen just because you produced your way out of it, or because you got quote unquote lucky, or because you got quote unlucky, or you know what I'm saying? So I think it's highly appropriate for what you're talking about, especially towards the beginning of the year, because many people may be listening to this saying like, you know what, this is the year I'm going to make change, whatever that looks like for them. And no one's advocating get out of the chair, but maybe I use your phrase, Greg, amongst my friends all the freaking time. And maybe it's not yours, but the time, money, emotion. And I say everything is going to cost something. And what are you trying to optimize for more in this year kind of thing, right? You want more time, you want more money, you want more emotion, but they all have a cost.
Yeah. The price of anything is the amount of life you're willing to trade for it.
Yeah.
And when we talk about like working on the business, we all know that it's not doing the payroll. It's not doing all the stuff. And there's a quote that I love: strategic time is not found. It is protected. Strategic time is protected. It's protected time, because for the longest time, you would try to go into your downstairs at, what was it, the Highlands location?
No, it was at the Buckhead location.
Yeah, I remember. And then you said to me, how do people not knock on your door? How do you get people to not knock on your door? Yeah. Now I'm in my, at first it was hard. Now no one ever thinks I'm here. So if I'm here, no one's going to knock on my door. So the first thing you have to think is, when you're working on that business in concrete terms, it literally means systems, leadership, decision-making, at high levels. So
I think so many people don't know what that means. Look, I think we've dispelled the myth that it's not payroll and things like this, but it takes a different person to get, no one taught us strategic thinking, right? Dental school sure as heck didn't, right? So I think that's such an overwhelming concept you're saying is like, hey, carve out strategic time. And I think some people would do that, and then they would sit there and be like, what do I do? What do I do now?
Yeah. So you and I were blessed because we have business friends. Mm-hmm. So you and I had each other, number one. And then we have elaborate networks of true business professionals, people who run large organizations with salespeople and mechanics and people that do the stuff. And really all they're paid to do is strategize. Mm. And so we would look at them like, oh shit, I'm one of the mechanics, or I'm one of the salespeople. I'm not a high level executive that I think of myself as. So most dentists can't ever create the strategic space because they don't have that framework. They don't have the environment. They have the peers. They don't have the interruption of the momentum that's driving them. And that's, without causing a pivot, that's actually why we create the summit. That's what it's all about. Because the summit is, you're not going to escape the tyranny of the urgent within the four walls of your office. You're just not.
Right.
It's not, you can only escape it by literally getting out of it. And that's why we pick iconic locations like the Ritz-Carlton last year, or the Phoenician, because we know that if you're in an inspirational, beautiful environment, and you step out and you dip yourself into the ecosystem of all these other business-minded people that have their hygienists and their office managers there, just dipping yourself in that ecosystem, even if we didn't teach you, would have intrinsic value, right? Because we see people at 10 p.m. when you and I are coming home from dinner after night one, we see whole groups of offices sitting there writing at 10 p.m. with Domino's pizza boxes in the freaking Ritz-Carlton. We saw that.
Yeah.
They're all sitting there with pens out and paper, and they're sitting there. So, it's not a CE event. It's not motivation. It's actually forced interruption of your pattern. It's designed not only to pull you out of the chair, out of all that noise, like you spoke about last time, but back into the role of the owner, leader, and the architect of your business. It's literally designed to do that. And there's no other way to do it, Pete.
Yeah, I really agree. I look back even before the times of Bulletproof and me taking my team places. And I think there is some magic in that when there is consensus on things to fix, or consensus on the direction you want to go, or consensus on whatever it is. But when you have consensus amongst your team, everyone seems to own it. Right. And that's what we've been pushing on our mastermind so much on, is like, hey, share your vision with your team. And it's remarkable how many people never talk about their life goals or their business goals or the business revenues or whatever they want with their team. And the team is the one who can impact the change, right?
Or how many team members have left you because they didn't know the grand plans you were up to. Like this place, we're never going to grow. We're never going to look at Eric Martin, who's going to be breaking ground, or David Amador or Anna Schultz, who are breaking ground on, facilities with 15, 20, 30 ops.
Yeah.
Imagine the team members that would have left had they not known, that had a hunger in their own heart. So, I love the fact that you started this with the new year, because a lot of people are saying, I'm going to do this, but this is not the year. We haven't had that mastermind, I remember, who literally said last year, this is not the year I'll join, this year.
Yeah.
He joined this year, but before he joined, he made that partnership agreement with the wrong guy literally a month before he joined, and we just had him unwind it. So for those that are saying, I'm going to work on this later is now. And I think, just to kind of make it poignant, the summit is where you go to stop reacting and start becoming the architect. You start stepping into the driver's seat, and you start designing the life that you want to lead. And, I know it's August, but I can't believe how many tickets we sold already, Pete. Yeah. I'm shocked at the enrollment. Yeah. And, last time I got literally a dozen calls. I know you did too, with people like, hey, can you get me in? My Invisalign rep was saying, can you squeak somebody in? We had a fire marshal code issue. We didn't have chairs. So it's going to happen this year.
I know. You want to hear a fun fact?
Tell me fun facts.
I'm going to the Phoenician on Thursday.
For what?
So Ole Miss is playing Miami.
Is this ice hockey?
Yes, we beat Georgia. So anyway, my family's going to the game. But anyway, I'm going to the hotel, and I can tell you that it's not I'm paying not $150 a night like I think our room rate is. I think I'm paying $960 a night or something ridiculous.
No, I know. At the Ritz-Carlton too, we had a room rate that's nothing as well. But listen, it's I want to make sure people know, because last year it was frustrating. People didn't register. I know it's far away, but while you're here at the first work week of the new year, you got to remember the summit is what you actually need. You bring your team. You will not be disappointed. It is life-changing. And this is our 9th or our 10th? No,
this is our 9th. This is our 9th.
This is our 9th.
Because you're going to get Tony Robbins for number 10.
Is that what we're doing?
No, you.
Okay, yeah. We're doing it, right?
No, well, we are, but I'll take credit, but you'll be the lift on that one.
Okay. I'll do it.
But yes, the ninth one, it is.
Yeah. So last year, 500 people sold out, but again, this is the time that you can stop, reacting to your life.
And a good thing to do, Craig, is, we've had people do this in the past, and I've done this even with teams, is that people like, a lot of our team members, either they don't travel a lot, or there's not something exciting on their calendar. And you could even use this as a strategic bonus to saying, hey, I want to take you guys all to Bulletproof, but it's going to cost the practice X. and then maybe show them all the videos and the highlights and the fun that it is, because they probably will get some pool time, and and say, hey, if we can do X revenue by then, or if our quarters can average this, or whatever you want to do, that I'm willing to take you guys and invest in you, because it can be fun. We can have fun. We can surround ourselves with people who are elevating as well, right? You said that rising tide.
Yeah.
And we'll come back aligned. I think that's always the thing is we hear is that teams come back with their hair on fire.
Yeah.
Because and the dentist is super grateful for that, versus, and we always talk about this, Craig, versus the dentist who goes away on CE comes back with her hair on fire, only to be received at, what are you talking about, Doc?
Yeah. No, I know.
Right. So,
and we have the benefit, by the way, of all those people saying to us constantly in our ear since Summit, we've done blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Ever since Summit, we've been on, and still happening now.
Yep.
So if you want, I love your idea, Peter, to have them earn it. And if you want to figure out a way to earn it, it's super easy. Just figure out what it's going to cost you, whatever it's going to cost you, 10 grand, 15 grand. If you took your whole team, I have no idea, 7 grand, and divide it by 0.2. That's 20%. That's like your wages. So you could say so we have to, it'll be sold out probably by, let's call it June.
Yeah.
So between now and June, if we can do X dollars more than we did last year. Mm-hmm. So it's going to cost you 10 grand. You have to do 50 grand more between now, between January and June 1st, you all get to go. And there's a lot of great events out there, but they're really great socially. We make this fun, but also uplifting. And there's a 10X guarantee, meaning if you don't collect 10 times more than what you spent over the next year, we'd give you your money back. No one's ever asked, and over all the thousands of people who have gone through it. It's just, we know what we're talking about. And I want you guys, all of our listeners, to benefit from that. So if you've been listening for a long time, or you're a new listener and you have no idea what we're talking about, go to bulletproofdentalpractice.com, check out the summit, and consider enrolling your team. It will be the biggest breakthrough for you in 2026.
And I would even say, just Google Bulletproof Summit on YouTube. Like, we have a lot of the old, highlight reels and such on there, and it'll give you the taste of, the testimonials and the taste of what to expect.
Yep. The biggest no-brainer in dentistry. Biggest no-brainer in dentistry. And it's the most common pain point, Pete. That's why I'm so passionate about it. It's the most common pain point. I wish we had something like that when you and I were going through this and eating glass, just to realize, okay, that there's a better way through this.
Yeah. And as it relates to the year, I always say this phrase, but if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so this could be the impetus for a change, as we reflect on a new year, or, and what you want your practice goals to be, or what you want your team goals to be, or what you want this to be. This could be the inflection point. I'm even thinking, like, Craig, we have, literally my team, we have for our goals, we have the old school, thermometers.
We do too. We have a Smurl, the thing that automatically updates, for your followers. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The mechanical ticker. So every day it goes.
Oh, for the collections.
Tracking. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think one of the big takeaways too, Pete, is I just want to reiterate, strategic time is not found, it's protected. And there's no way you can protect time if you don't plan it. So as you're looking at your 2026 and whatever goals you want to have, the protected time is what you want. And if you can clear off your calendar, in that first week of August, and pop everybody over to the Phoenician in Scottsdale, not only will it be a great time, but it'll actually secure a strong Q3, Q4 for you.
Love it. I love it. All right, everybody. If you found value with this, make sure to give us a review. That we have gotten a great response from everyone leaning in from that. But it helps. Just like with your practice, keeping that cadence of reviews. We need the same thing for this pod so that it reaches many, many people. But anyway, bud, Happy New Year. Glad to be going on another trip around the sun.
Yeah.
And with you. And we'll see everyone later.
Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, everyone, for watching today's episode of the Bulletproof Dental Practice Pod. We hope this conversation brought you a tremendous amount of perspective and reminded you of why you love dentistry. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, drop us a comment, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss a future episode. Additionally, it would really help us if you could send this message to someone that you think would enjoy it. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep leading boldly, and most importantly, stay bulletproof.